One of the most popular and fan favorite storytelling tropes, whether it be books, movies, games, or TV shows, is the story of the underdog. A small, unknown, scrappy competitor taking on a larger than life opponent, and even though the odds are heavily stacked against them, they grit their teeth and give it their all anyway. While that's maybe not the most accurate analogy, that is exactly what comes to mind when I think about stellarblade and the story surrounding this game's development over the past couple months. Think about it. It's the first big budget console entry from a studio with only 2 mobile games under its belt and a completely new and unknown IP at that. On paper, I don't think anyone would have looked at the game's concept and been able to confidently say that this was absolutely going to be a home run. Even rewinding the clock back to 2019 when stellarblade was first unveiled as Project Eve, I don't think anyone could have predicted the truly gargantuan impact that this game has had on the entertainment landscape. And to top it off, the game's not even out yet. Even for myself, when this game first got on my radar late last year, I wasn't convinced that it was going to be anything more than just blatant fan service. Beyond the bodacious visuals, it certainly didn't help that interview after interview seemed to only focus on the protagonist's design, how many costumes there were, how Eve was designed to be far above average because it's more satisfying to look at than a character with average looks, or that in games like this, the player will spend lots of time looking at the character's backside, so, you might as well make it count. Which, let's be real, they absolutely succeeded in, by the way. But jokes and memes aside, while these interviews proved beyond a doubt that the director and the dev team were based as fuck, it didn't really tell us much about the game. What about the enemies? How was the combat? What about the mechanics? How would the game actually play? How tight were the controls? Things like this were the critical details, and it seemed like the bulk of the online discourse surrounding the game was whether Eve was too hot or something, rather than the actual game itself. That was, of course, until the demo dropped.
Eve! Get out of here!
Ducky!
Even for myself, within minutes of being hands-on with the demo, I knew that this game was so much more than just simple fan service, and it was a guaranteed day one purchase for me. Tight combat mechanics, strong defensive options, absolutely gruesome enemies, an amazing gameplay loop, stunning graphics and visuals, and one of the few games that actually manage to leverage the PS5's hardware capabilities. Side note, shake my head, Sony, why the fuck are there no games for this console? Anyway, I digress. Of course, to top it off, the icing on the cake, a jaw-droppingly voluptuous protagonist. And while not a perfect game by any means, I don't think that this is going to set any new trends or anything like that. The combat system, for example, is comparatively basic in comparison to games like Devil May Cry or Bayonetta, but there's a lot to like about this game. And in all fairness, the gameplay has absolutely no business whatsoever being as good as it is. This is not the 5th entry into an existing franchise that's been around for 20 plus years like Devil May Cry or Devil May Cry 5. No, this is a brand new IP from a studio that makes mobile games. Let that sink in. Which brings me neatly along to the crux of this video, because let's be real here. Modern gaming is utterly littered with overblown budgets, games that are stuffed to hell and back with the most predatory microtransactions imaginable, and title after title made by developers who care more about using the game as a platform to push some political or ideological agenda instead of just doing their job and making a good product. In short, stellarblade seems like a very welcome breath of fresh air. It's a game that dares to push the boundaries of design and creativity and actually feature a conventionally attractive female character with genuinely feminine characteristics, made by a studio who, despite mounting pressure from gaming outlets and journalists all over the world, refused to bend the knee and conform to modern sensibilities. Despite the entire media shitstorm surrounding this game over the past few months, Shift Up stuck to their principles, responded to the backlash in the most based way possible, and stayed true to their original vision. And speaking of vision, the main reason, the one reason above all that I want this game to succeed is because the game itself is oozing, absolutely bursting at the seams with passion. Even the demo itself, there were so many little details that really stood out, from the record players at the campsites that allow you to change and customize the music, from the overall polished gameplay, the visuals, skill tree, the design of the training mode, to the fast travel being a payphone, just one of many references to the Matrix films, by the way. And to top it off, the recently released behind the scenes videos from Sony, which if you haven't seen, you're doing yourself a disservice. Go watch them now if you're a fan of this game or this studio. These videos were so refreshing to watch because it's so evident that the team has put so much effort and passion into this project. From the interviews about the combat system, the level design, and even bringing the monsters to life by sculpting them first and then rendering them in 3D and animated them, it's so clear that this game was not some contractual obligation or an adaptation of some existing source material that the team didn't even want or like, or some vehicle for the team's political ideology or whatever. The team clearly had a story to tell and a vision they wanted to bring to life. And if the demo, early reviews, and the Metacritic scores are any indication, it looks like stellarblade and Shift Up have a bright future ahead of them. And I, for one, couldn't be happier. It's absolutely well deserved, and I cannot wait to get hands-on with the full game's release on Friday. How about you? Anyway, that's all I got for this one. Stay awesome, legends. Thanks for watching.